Ladies and gentlemen, Caravan fans, welcome back to Built on Dante, Mount Carmel's official podcast. Christos, how are we doing this week, man?
Doing pretty good, getting ready for the end of school, getting these AP exams done, and looking forward to the summer. And our special guest for this episode 4, is now graduate alumni of Mount Carmel, Alec Padilla. Alec, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Feeling good after graduation yesterday.
Right, yeah. I mean, I got to ask, uh, you've thought about this for the past 4 years, but now that you've actually gone through it, was it what you were expecting, or were things different than what you had in mind, or was it just kind of basic, just your basic idea of what graduation would be?
The It was a lot different because I've only really ever been to, I guess, my brother's graduation from Mount Carmel, and his was at Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew that it was going to be different just because we were going to be at Holy Name Cathedral. And then, yeah, I don't know, it was a lot happier. I thought it was kind of going to be like sad just walking and seeing like all the moms crying and stuff. But it was like, it was this the high intensity made it so everyone was just kind of joking around and having fun, and it was a lot more fun than I expected it to be.
I gotta say, yeah, I watched it from home because we streamed it here on CVN. I wasn't able to go, but I watched it from home, and I definitely got that feeling. It seemed a little special. This one seemed a little different. Mrs. Geppetto gave the commencement speech to kind of open up graduation after Mass concluded, and her son Louis is a senior who just graduated with you in your class. So things just felt a little unique about this year, with the change of scenery going from Rockefeller to Holy Name, like you said. And I don't know, but you're right. You're definitely right. It definitely had that upbeat feeling, especially with Colin McEwen's valedictorian speech. I know you know him just through volleyball and things like that. You're pretty good friends with him and stuff. He's he's not playing this year, but we've seen him in past years on the team and stuff. So to see him go up there and give a speech, it was great. I don't know, honestly, when he went up there, I was kind of expecting him to talk about the football seasons going back to back, because he was on the team, and that's obviously a huge part of this graduating class is that they won back-to-back state championships.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it had a very different feel. He really talked about nothing specific, which is kind of why it made it good overall. That's why it made it a good speech, I think. He said that, the point of his valedictorian speech was to not really pinpoint anything specific, but just talk about the overall vibe. And, would you yourself say you kind of felt that vibe of
Yeah.
like your childhood is kind of coming to a close, but things are opening up on the horizon, college ahead and everything like that? Are you feeling this kind of nostalgia right now?
Yeah, I definitely am because I was talking with Colin and Anthony Wiseman because Colin was doing that speech, and then Anthony did the speech at the Mother's Day Mass, and then
Mhm.
I did it at the award ceremony. So we had like a little bit different prompts, but we all were like kind of comparing what we were gonna do. And Colin, he was really big on like, I do not want to talk about football. Like that's not really
Mhm.
all that we are. Like it's tough just putting the class of 2024 as just football because there's so much more than just that. Like Colin's going to Notre Dame. There's a lot of like great schools, and the athletes on the football team are going to like great schools. So he like definitely wanted to just make it more of a broad experience, like you said, or a broad um, area that he could talk about. Just talking about nostalgia, talking with friends, and talking about the good old days, kind of
Yeah.
with like freshman year, some of the stories. And yeah, I definitely felt the nostalgic vibe of just reminiscing and thinking about, like I'd space out a little during his speech and just think about some like random moments or
Yeah.
things like that with him or with any of the kids that I was sitting around.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to end this upbeat feeling, kind of, but you talked about your freshman year a little bit. Christos and I can remember our freshman year. We wore masks for, I think, like the first two trimesters, maybe the first
Yeah.
trimester.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was March,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
second
March.
week of March or whatever is when they finally lifted the mask restrictions.
Mhm.
And even then, like it wasn't even normal really till the start of the next year.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had it completely different than we did.
Mhm.
You guys were hybrid, right? You know, like half
Yeah,
at home, half there.
it
Did you?
was
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of a mess. There weren't that many kids at home just 'cause Carmel was really trying to push kids to go
Yeah.
to school just 'cause you learn better when you're actually able to interact with others. Um, and they didn't want us to fall behind compared to a lot of the other schools where people weren't in contact with any other people besides their family from the end of their 8th grade year until maybe sophomore year. So they pushed everyone to go in, but it was definitely a completely different experience with the masks. It was also because like your freshman year, my sophomore year, the masks weren't as like I don't know. COVID wasn't really as like scary
Mm-hmm.
because it was a little bit older at that point. But like I remember in like August and September of my freshman year, like COVID was still like that was
Yeah.
like peak and like it was really scary. Like all my friends weren't going to school, so it was a little more pressure too. Like I'm going to school, like I need to be safe. Like my dad's working at home, my mom's working at home. Like I'm really the only one going out and interacting with all these people. So I think that pressure for a lot of us kind of was there, but it's surprisingly I would say it brought us like closer because we all
Yeah.
could just kind of complain about it a little together and then yeah, complain about having third period lunch where I ate lunch every day at like 9:30 to 10:20. So it was like breakfast. So it
Right.
was like
Yeah.
yeah, all the different like scheduling cuz we had to spread out for lunches, having 3 kids we were all like 6 feet apart. We could barely talk. And it was definitely an experience, but it we all came out of it pretty well and I'd say my class is a pretty strong bond still even though we lost out on some of the aspects of our freshman year.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely tight, and I saw that last year, and even maybe a little bit when I was a freshman, but definitely last year. I realized how tight you guys were. But something else I wanted to ask you was, you're obviously like really big on school spirit. So, how late did you find that though at Carmel? Because your freshman year, school spirit is pretty hard to find when
Yeah.
there's really no games going on. There's really no student sections or anything like that. So, was it really your sophomore year that things kind of started rolling in that aspect?
Yeah, I would cuz freshman year, maybe like the end of freshman year, some school spirit started to come along cuz we didn't have any sports in the fall and winter and then we started like cuz I played football freshman year, that started in like February or so, but
Mm-hmm.
even then, like sometimes it was only our parents that could go to the games, and sometimes they even couldn't go if it was like an away game.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of like, I don't know, it wasn't really school spirit. It was just like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just going and playing football. I don't know. It wasn't like I was playing for like Mount Carmel. But then towards like the end of the year, and we obviously couldn't go to varsity games or anything, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like get that aspect of like a student section and all of that. But then towards the end, they really pushed us. Like during lunch, they wouldn't let us leave until we all sang the fight song and like just stuff like that. Where that was like annoying at the time, but then going into sophomore year when everything got more normal, it definitely helped us a lot. And then having the student sections and a little more like student council too. That was like a big thing my freshman year. I don't think they did like anything really
Yeah.
just 'cause it was tough to like pep rallies and things like that. But then sophomore year, we finally had homecoming, so we had a homecoming like spirit week. We had
Yeah.
everything, so it was a lot more school spirit, and I definitely that's when it started most for me.
Yeah. I mean, my grandma works. Kathy O'Connor, shout out to my grandma.
Hmm.
She listens to all these. I love her. She works in the spirit store, so she's got all the yearbooks in there. And I was in there the other day, and I looked at a 2019 yearbook. It looks like a completely different school. I mean,
Hmm.
pre-COVID compared to now, it's so much different. And I'm not saying it's like worse or anything, because yesterday was incredible. The
Hmm.
graduation, um, when I watched it, I realized how many of these guys do so much for the school. Like hearing all those names, I'd be like, I know that kid. I know that kid. I
Hmm.
met him through a club. I met him through a sport. Like, this kid like gave me a ride home one day. Um, so it's two very different schools. And I know things change over time, but COVID really changed things over
Yeah, it's
time.
like a 10-year
Yeah.
change in 1 or 2 years.
Right. So to see you guys come out of that was incredible. But specifically, like focusing on you, you won the Senior of the Year award. So could could you even like imagine, like as a freshman, could you even imagine that one day you would even be in that position? I mean, it's pretty tough because I know you live in Indiana,
Hmm.
so not only are you disconnected from people through COVID, but you also live far away. Like that's a
Hmm.
long way. So now that you're so tightly connected to the school, like do you think you could even imagine that when you were a freshman? Was that in your mind at all?
No, I never thought that that would happen. Even like there, I was like, what? And then they slowly were like naming things that like they said a GPA, and I was like, that might be me. And then they said like the club, and then like Spanish club, and I was like, I don't know if any other seniors are on Spanish club with that GPA. And then slowly I was just like, dang, like I'm getting it. It was kind of like surreal, just 'cause I did not expect to get it at all, especially like being disconnected freshman year, and then I don't know, because I worked pretty hard to like stay connected with my class, especially with like Spanish club, like I said, just bringing that up, trying to like just build more of a community where people can enjoy things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I'm not really connected to a lot of the kids because I just don't live in Chicago, where I'm not really near them. But over the years, I've definitely worked on that, and it was very cool to get that happen, because I would never,
Yeah.
even now, like I don't even really realize that I got that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Christos. We've got Leonard in the room too. They're tied for first place right now, so I know
Hmm.
awards are kind of in their sight a little bit. It's weird to think we're gonna be in your exact shoes a year from
Yeah.
now. Um, but I mean, congrats though. That's
Hmm.
huge to go from your freshman year, like you said, like when you went to go play those football games, you didn't really even like associate the sport with your school, which
Yeah.
is just the complete opposite of what high school
Hmm.
sports are
I don't even know
most of the
what
time.
some kids looked like, because we had to
Yeah.
have like these masks that went over our face guards. So all you could see was their eyes. So I'd
Oh,
have to like memorize kids' numbers, and it was like, it was definitely like completely unreal.
yeah.
Like it wasn't a normal experience.
Yeah, yeah, we're talking a lot about school spirit right now. You're a guy, one of the leaders of the senior class of school spirit. Are there any changes you'd like to see, maybe, next few years to kind of boost school spirit or just change things, maybe with the way we handle school spirit?
I think this year we did pretty well with a lot of the like the spirit weeks and homecoming week. I think those were pretty good. One thing, just because games, those are they used to be a lot bigger of a thing. Like when my brother went here, he's told me about it. But we missed out on those a little just 'cause it was during like April and it's so busy. It's hard to plan it with walkathon and everything. But that would be really good for you guys to set up. It's like they're literally just because games. On a Friday, you get out at noon, but then instead of leaving, you just go to the gym, and then we have different games than usual. We have like tug of war, or things like just random random silly
Hmm.
games that you could have. Like the one I remember we had one, I forgot what this was for, but we blindfolded everyone and they had to crawl on the floor and try and get like money and just
Yeah.
things like that. Like where it's just stupid games that kind of make everyone get together and laugh and just laugh. Even if it's laughing at them, it's just a way for everyone to get united a little.
Mm.
But that would definitely help. And then dress downs, that one's kind of easy, but this year we definitely lacked a little on the dress downs. So that would, and it's always good because we raise money for something.
Right. Right.
Even if we charge $1 or $2, it's always a good way to support. Like I know Spanish Club, we have had some dress downs, and it's good to support the St. Baldrick's or any of the other fundraisers.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, Christos is running for student body
Hmm.
president, so he's taking this in now. Right now, I know that. Um, but I mean, yeah. Honestly, going forward, I never, because I shadowed Carmel a lot, and that was pre-COVID. I shadowed Carmel a lot. My grandpa Frank O'Connor volunteered here. My uncle is the dean, Dan O'Connor. So I had connections, and fifth through eighth grade. I mean, obviously COVID messed it up, but I was about to say, yesterday with graduation made me realize how much COVID changed the school and how we're still recovering from that a little bit.
Hmm.
I know school spirit was a lot higher. Maybe even our freshman year, you would have been a sophomore, so it's still like right after COVID.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, honestly, it's next year. This will be like the first class, or I don't know, like these freshmen coming in, they experience COVID way differently than we did. I think Christos and I experienced COVID way differently than you did. So as time goes on, I think school spirit will like reach that level it once was.
Yeah, because
So
next year they got their fourth grade year cut short, I think.
I don't know.
Fifth
So it's
grade?
like or
Yeah.
fifth grade. So it's like that was like such a young
Yeah.
young age where they're still. I don't know. It didn't affect you as much because like you guys like seventh grade, for us eighth grade, those were kind of like prime. I don't know, just like learning,
Development,
development,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
learning about yourself and finding what you're comfortable with, like sports even, like those were very important years for like sports, getting ready for high school. So I think definitely it's going to be a even bigger change than COVID did these next couple
Right.
years with all of these people kind of coming back and having more of a normal experience before high school.
Yeah. Talk about big change. Christos and I are about to be seniors, which means we're looking at colleges. You've already been through this process. You're staying home in Indiana at Purdue. Right off the bat, why'd you pick there?
So I could have applied to more schools, but I only applied to four. I applied to Michigan, Purdue, Indiana University, and Tulane. And mainly it was between Purdue and Michigan. But Purdue, since I live in Indiana, I get in-state tuition. I got a scholarship too, and then I live in Hammond, Indiana, so it's called College Bound, and I just do community service, and it pays for a lot of my college too.
Gotcha.
So it was like I couldn't really pass up on the opportunity where I'll be going to college for free or definitely less than the tuition here at Carmel. So it was too good of an
That's- yeah.
opportunity.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm sure, you got the senior of the year award, and they said your GP and everything, and all the clubs you're in. So I'm sure that helped out a lot too. So if you're listening to this, get involved. I think is a
Yeah,
big thing.
it's definitely and don't just that was a big thing. I can't remember who said it, but it's like don't just get involved to like pad your resume because it definitely
Right.
helps. But I slowly got involved, and it made me appreciate everything else more and more. Like I was still getting involved this year with new clubs, so it's like, and I wasn't putting any of that on my resume or anything. So it's like just slowly finding things that you like, seeing teachers like Miss Norris this year. She asked me to help out with the club, which was like just little stuff like that. You really make an impact on people around you, and then I think that's a major reason why I was able to get that award.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're heading off to Purdue. You've got that scholarship locked down a little bit. So your future is bright, definitely. But what do you want to major in? And I know I'm asking this because I know there are certain teachers or clubs here that probably influence that decision. I hope you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So ideally I would eventually want to become a pediatrician, but for right now I'm gonna go to Purdue for engineering, and I'd hopefully be able to go and do chemical engineering. Because first year it's just undecided, and then you apply for your specific type of engineering. But yeah, I would credit Miss Norris a lot with that chemistry. I really enjoyed it in her class. I really got it, so it was fun being able to help all my friends that were in the class around me. And then Mr. Collier, of course, just with physics, and then I took physics mechanics this year. So that definitely pushed me, just seeing how it applies to the real world. Even if we were doing it in perfect situations where there's no friction or anything and silly stuff like that, but it's definitely cool seeing how like the math that I'm using can push me to like change the world around me. It's not as just like on a paper anymore.
Yeah. Christos is a lot bigger of a math guy than I am. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't know about that.
you can relate to him.
Pre-calc's a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the more difficult math classes we take, and the deeper we dive into calculus, just makes me want to go even deeper into English and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say with Alec's point, like physics in particular is a pretty interesting subject though. So like going into engineering, going into like chemical engineering like you want to do, I think that's like a an option for. I know I've talked to a lot of seniors. Like a lot of seniors are kind of going down that path.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
like it's just something that clicks with a lot of guys. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of U of I guys that are going down there for
Yeah.
engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely shout out to Mr. Collier.
Yeah.
He won the green jacket this year and for a
Mhm.
reason. And not only is he a good teacher, but he's just a likable guy. You know,
Mhm.
he's fun to be around in the classroom for sure. He makes lessons interesting. And I am not big on math, but I gotta say there's been a couple labs we've done in there where I've been intrigued. So shout out to
Yeah.
Mr. Collier.
And he doesn't just help in the classroom too.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
helping with STEM. He's helping with robotics, and he's just trying to push everyone into the science or technology, engineering, math, all of those fields, which
Yeah.
is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've got your future ready, but more recent future, or like coming up in the next week, volleyball playoffs. You're a
Mhm.
big volleyball player. You've been
Mhm.
on the team for 4 years, but varsity for 3.
Mhm.
I remember, yeah, your sophomore year, you're on varsity. So, what do you have to say about the Neverly brothers? Because from what I've seen and from how long I've known you, like they've got to be a big influential part in your time here at Mount Carmel.
Yeah. So my freshman year, Mr. Neverly, the Brooks Neverly, he coached JV, so I had him as a coach. And then my sophomore year, I ended up switching. I think I had Villa, but Neverly would still
Yeah.
help out a lot. And then now junior and senior year, I've had Neverly. So Brooks Neverly is definitely he's made me love the sport. He's a very positive figure to be playing with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I don't know. I've never really worked well with the intense, like just I don't know, like football or things like that, where they're just like way more intense and they kind of aren't as like positive. They just tell you that you're doing bad. Like never really tries to work hard to like see the good in what you are doing
Yeah.
and still critique you obviously because he's our coach and we have to be better. But he definitely works hard to keep spirits up because that's a lot of what volleyball is. It isn't a contact sport. You can't like take out your anger on any of the other players. It's a lot of just being good in your head and just making sure that you aren't going to make the same mistake over again. And if you get mad and you do make a mistake, you're not going to let it affect you the next play that you touch the ball.
Right. And it's been a rough couple of seasons, but
Yeah.
we lost in the regional championship last year. It was a tough loss. It was to Jones, but the team has another shot. Next week we will play Monday and Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and then if we just keep winning, we'll play on Thursday in the regional championship, most likely against Whitney Young. But anything is possible, so we don't know who that opponent will be down the road. So, what are your thoughts that like, because you know we're both on the team, and a really big thing right now with the program is just getting a regional championship win because we
Mhm.
haven't had one in I don't even know. I couldn't
Yeah.
tell you. So it's been a while. And Mr. Neverly, I mean, every time he brings it
He's
up,
itching for one.
yeah, he's telling us how much he wants it. So, is that something that's really valuable to you? That the last thing you could do here, besides winning Senior of the Year, is also doing something for this volleyball program by winning a regional championship?
Yeah, I definitely that's been a big goal for this season, especially just working every single practice, every single game, just to get a little better. Because we've had a lot of switch ups to our lineup this year with
Oh,
two
yeah.
new freshmen coming in, and they're both starting. So we've kind of been working to just get better as a team and have a real good chemistry between us. And I think we've slowly been working towards that. And I would say we have a game tomorrow, our last regular season game, and I think how we play in that game is how we're going to do in playoffs. So I'm hoping that we end up having good chemistry, and everyone is just ready to show out.
Yeah.
Because the toughest part with playoffs, I would say, is the first one and sometimes two rounds can be like kind of easy. I guess that's like a bad way to say it, but they usually aren't against very good teams. So it's hard to go from like a team that we're going to beat with like our backups, or we could kind of relax, to just straight to Whitney Young, where we have to play 110% and we have to be ready for everything. So that's why I think the next game is really important, just to have the confidence and kind of the work to want to get the regionals
Right.
championship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're hoping for a win.
Mm-hmm.
Alec, congrats on, I can call you an alumni now. Congrats on graduating from Mount Carmel. Yeah, we're hoping the volleyball program does well. I'm hoping the volleyball program does well because I'm on the team with you. So we're looking to do good. As far as CBN goes, guys, we will be live streaming the lacrosse playoff game Friday night. They play Brother Rice. That is for the first round of the playoffs, but they also play Brother Rice tonight. That'll be their last regular season game. So thank you so much for tuning in to episode 4 of Built on Dante. Alec, thank you so much for coming on with us. That's all we got
Thank
for
you.
you. Yeah. And congrats again. I'm gonna end it soon, I promise. But man, you were one of the first people I met my freshman year as far as the volleyball program goes. And now that we're here and have a shot at the regional championship, that's awesome. So thanks for sticking with it, I guess I should say. Thanks for getting that spot to a leader. So, yeah. Fans, thank you so much for watching. Good night, Chicago.